I like it.
How are you today?
I am fine. Now we are live. A very good evening to our viewers at home. We hope everyone is doing well. It's been a chilly couple of days, but we are hoping everyone is. It's actually warm if you're in a very cold place. So welcome to another episode of Insurance Book with me, Simphiwe Dlamini. Of course, I'm never alone. I am with Mr. Widen Pere, who is going to say hello to you. But just before we continue, I need to remind you of our promise as United Holdings, through everything that you go through, we try by all means to have the solutions that you may have to the problems that you face, be it financial problems, that mid-month crisis that comes unexpected. We have United Pay to say, you know what, I have a little bit that I can give you within 48 hours for you to just attend to those emergencies that come the month. But of course, in the next couple of weeks, we are definitely going to come with good news from United Pay. Do stay tuned. We might be just upping our maximum loan amount. So do stay tuned to find out how much that would be. And then should it happen that you have a family you hold dear to your heart, and especially these days of COVID-19, we have to make sure that our health is on point. We have United Health Insurance to say get the right healthcare service for your family. Don't let them wait in a line for so many hours just to get professional help when it comes to their health. Let's make sure that they have they have access to the right and quality healthcare in Eswatini with United Health Insurance. Of course, dignity is one of the most important aspects in our lives. We are here with United Life Assurance to say we should make sure that our relatives after they pass on, they are sent off in the right manner with the right dignity. With United Life Assurance, we say we have a wide range of services which come, of course, with extra benefits. Of course, United Life Assurance is coming up in the next couple of days with wonderful news as well. We always have something at hand. Today we are with United General Insurance, who are going to tell you what they have in store for you, not just for your family and your own personal assets. Today we are talking about your business, what type of insurance you should consider for your business. I think I've said a mouthful in this 5 minutes. Mr. Widen Pere, I think I've taken too much introduction. You may say hello to our customers.
Simphiwe, that was more than a mouthful. But it's good to be back, Simphiwe, after what would I call it? A technical sabotage in the last show, where I'm there, I'm talking, and nothing is happening. It was quite embarrassing, but I then missed out on a great show.
We did not always talk. If we did, probably would have a way to make it work all the time.
Well, like you said, Simphiwe, you gave a brief of all or most of our products at United Holdings for the different business units. We do cater for all insurance needs for all our customers. And really, especially during this time, Simphiwe, the COVID is wreaking havoc with taking lives. And United Life Assurance is right there with the people. We are working with the people during their difficult times. And Simphiwe, definitely there's something in store as we realize that probably people need to reconsider how much they are insured so that they can be fully covered, and whatever they get as a benefit will cover them during the hard times. So our customers, our viewers must watch this space because definitely we have something coming up in store. Simphiwe, we are delighted to have the two gentlemen in the house today. Both of them are not new to the show, but it is the first time I think we are having them today as a team. I'll be talking to Mr. Patrick Gamedze, who is the United General Insurance Operations Manager, as well as Mr. Sakile Zwane, who is the GM Operations at United Holdings. And we are going to be talking about insurance for business. What insurance should be considered for business? And looking at statistics, Simpiwe, unfortunately, it is most unfortunate that the statistics show that corporates do have insurance, try to get insurance. But unfortunately, most small and medium to small businesses, unfortunately, do not invest in insurance. And as a result, sometimes when they're exposed, they are unable to restart their businesses. So we are going to be finding out a bit more about that and how small business, medium businesses, and in some cases, even the larger businesses can be covered so that they do not lose out. Simpiwe, before I talk to the gentleman, do you have anything on the diary today?
Well, Mr. Pere, I think it's been a while. We haven't been to the greens. Some of us haven't been to the greens. Our leg of lamb from United General Insurance is back after a couple of challenges having those games. So we are extending an invite to all golfers and all pro golfers and learners like me to go to the greens and have a shot. Probably you can. I don't know. The lingo is just not my thing, but I am still a learner.
I think you should keep quiet, Simpiwe, before you offend golfers out there. I once called that golf stick, and one golfer was not happy that I'm calling it a stick. So before you offend them, I think let's leave that. But definitely there is a game. The games have returned on Friday. The UGI leg of lamb is back. So if you're a golfer, let's meet on Friday from 2 p.m. and let's have a round. So anyway, let's move ahead to today's business, Simpiwe. I'm going to introduce the two guests. I've already talked about them, but I would like to say hello to them. Mr. Zwane, would you care to say hi to our viewers?
Good evening, Widen. Evening, Simpiwe. Good evening to our viewers as well. It's always a pleasure to be here. Thanks.
It's always a pleasure to have you, Mr. Zwane. And our second guest, Mr. Patrick Gamedze, would you like to say hello to our viewers?
Good evening, Mr. Pere. Good evening, Simpiwe and Mr. Zwane, and also to our audience. A very good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Gamedze, and again, it's a pleasure. I think it hasn't been too long since we have had both of you gentlemen. And today's business, gentlemen, is we are talking about insurance, mainly focused on the businesses. To start us off, Mr. Zwane, let me pose this one to you. These statistics that I was talking about, generalized statistics that small businesses tend to shy away from taking insurance. Can that be substantiated in Swaziland? Is there any truth in Swaziland on that?
And thank you, Mr. Pere. I think it's there is an element of truth. Unfortunately, I do not have those statistics, but I think it borders around the perception that insurance is for a selected cohort in society. You can only insure these big businesses. You need insurance because you've got big monies and all that, which is perhaps not particularly true, because when insurance works in a way, we use something called the rating. We insure you and charge you an amount according to what you can afford, or what number, or the amount of assets you have, or the value of the assets you have. If you've got a billion Emalangeni company and we charge you, say, 1% of that, yes, it can seem like a big amount, but for the smaller sized entrepreneurs or business people. If your business is worth 100,000, the 1% is it's a much smaller figure. 1%, of course, it's an example. So I think it's up to ourselves and this show to educate people that insurance is not those millions the bigger companies pay. Even the smaller sized or medium-sized companies, they can't be insured. It's always sad to see after, say, a storm or some kind of catastrophe, which destroys all businesses, and the bigger corporates are able to get on their feet while the smaller guys get to close shop and they get back to the line of poverty. It's always sad, but to answer your question, it is true from what you can see, but we don't particularly have all the stats in check. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Zwane. Definitely, we don't have the specific statistics, but in general, it seems to be true that smallholders tend to shy away from getting insurance. But Mr. Gamedze, insurance is not a luxury in general. Insurance is a business requirement, or even a personal requirement. Would you like to discuss that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Berry. As Mr. Zwane has already alluded, I think it's just the way that people think. And for us as insurers, you cannot basically run a business without an insurance. Because when you do your budgets, when you do your overheads, when you do your business plans, there's no reason why you should omit a section on the insurance. Just like if you are a retailer, you always budget for unconfirmed losses, breakage or damages within the shops. So even this one, it's a very critical aspect of your business. So business people are urged to take up insurance, whatever it is, because we've got various lines of insurances, various covers that will be speaking to certain or specific requirements within a business itself. So obviously, like Mr. Zwane is saying, if it's a smaller business, he might be in need of, say, maybe three aspects of an insurance cover. But then your big businesses, they might be taking over 30 business sections in a multi-mark policy. So yes, you will always find a very relevant aspect of cover for any kind of business within the business space.
Precisely, Mr. Zwane. Mr. Gamedze, sorry, my apology. But let's look practically and discuss practical issues here for the benefit of our viewers. We want to look at what sort of insurance does United General offer for businesses, Mr. Gamedze. Just the types and probably just an overview, and then we'll dive deep into them at a later stage.
Okay, thank you. Like I've already said, Mr. Berry, it all depends on the nature of the business or the business space that each trader is trading in. I'll take, for instance, your professional doctors or medical establishments. That definitely the most appropriate cover for those we've already started marketing what you call medical malpractice. That is a certain type of professional indemnity that is tailor-made for professional doctors. So any practicing doctor is definitely a must that they must get what you call medical malpractice for any mishap that might happen where a person takes a doctor to court over maybe I would say maybe an operation that has gone wrong or any medical treatment that has gone wrong. And then your lawyers, they'll also need what you call professional indemnity. Your engineers, they can also take up specialized engineers professional indemnity. So that will be in the professional indemnity space. But your general business in town, you'll definitely need what we tailor-make is normally called a multi-mark cover. A multi-mark cover, it's a comprehensive insurance cover for a business that will cover things like your office furniture, your computer equipment, things that like laptops that are normally used within and outside of the business. Because when you have business managers that are using laptops, they will be working from home at times, or if they are attending a business meeting where they need those laptops, or they're traveling abroad, they'll be carrying those laptops. Under the business all risk section, they will then be covered on a worldwide basis. The laptop, I'm making an example of things that will fall under your all risk, but your desktops, which are not movable from within the business premises, those you can then go under electronic equipment within the business. So if you take up a multi-mark, it might be a big business will take all the sections within a multi-mark policy. But if it's a small business person, he might decide to insure maybe the office contents, which is the office furniture, the desk, the chair that he sits on, the printer in the office, the telephone in the office, the cell phones that belong to either the directors or some of the senior staff within the business. You also want to ensure, if you are working on in a building that has a lot of glass, you can also take up glass cover, so that if any of the glass, normally when you have glass space, you want to do that for your branding. So obviously there's money that goes into branding those offices. So if you take up glass cover, it will also cover the painting or the artwork that sits on the glass that you basically have in your office space. That will also include a burglary. You can take a burglary section that will speak to any illegal entry into or out of the business premises that are insured. That will also include what you call attempted entry or exit. If a burglar was trying to break in and he was caught maybe before he actually got into the business to do additional damage, but he's already broken the chains, the padlocks, maybe the key insertion point. That is an insured damage. We can still pay for those damages, which is the replacement of those security gadgets within the business premises. So for us, Mr. Bennett, there is quite a wide variety of covers that we can basically take. The cars themselves belonging to the business person will also be covered under commercial vehicles. That will also depend how those cars are being used. Either they are for long distance traveling, or they carrying goods belonging to customers. If they carrying goods belonging to customers, will obviously then require that business person to then take what you call goods in transit. Goods in transit now speaks to security of the goods that are being transported in any mode of transport by that business person for a fee note. And the goods might belong to him or belong to a third party who might have leased his services, his courier services. So that's what we have, Mr. Bennett, but that's not limited, obviously. The contractors, we have contractors bonds. Bonds come in different varieties. You've got your performance bond, you've got your performance bond, you've got your advance payment bond, you've got your tender guarantee bond, you've got your advance payment bond. So there's quite a number of bonds. We can zero down on those later on. Yeah, Mr. Zwane can actually add if I've missed anything.
Thank you, Mr. Gamedze. Mr. Zwane, would you like to add to that?
Actually, I think Mr. Gamedze has laid out everything. I like the range, because what Mr. Gamedze has laid out is we cover anything from a block of flats, what we call titimela, to an aircraft or a ship, anything commercial. If it has value to a certain business, there is cover for that. What we do at UGI is that we want to tailor make our products to suit the customers. We don't sell a package deal like a box of something called Lopalaza. We tailor make it to suit the needs of the customers. But the range, as I've stated before, from a person selling, renting out a block of flats to a ship, as long as it's tangible, I think Mr. Gamedze has covered the whole range. Thank you, Mr. Ver.
Thank you, Mr. Zwane. So the uniqueness, or one of those key points about United General, is that we are not just out there to give you a fixed solution. We will listen to your particular situation and tailor make a product for you that suits you, rather than force you to fit in a box. Mr. Zwane, one question that is on the minds of viewers is that we went through a rough patch in the last few weeks due to political instability. Some people lost property. Could it be that they could have been covered, or their businesses could have been covered by United General Insurance? Admit your mic, Mr. Zwane.
Thanks, student. They call it old age now. Okay, most certainly. It's the description of the loss that makes sense. If I may just put it out there, we've got something called a fire policy. For lesser hazardous risk, we call it a builders combined policy. Right. If there is, say for instance, as an example, there is an arsonist who decides to burn down my shop for any reason. Maybe they want to steal something inside, or maybe they want to just sabotage me because perhaps they don't like me that much. We have the fire policies, or those builders combined policies. If the cover was intact, and if the peril was covered, UGI would be in a position to resuscitate rather to indemnify you for the loss. Because in UGI, we don't compensate, we indemnify. We put you in a place where you were before. That's indemnification. UGI, yes, will indemnify, but it all depends on the circumstances. What we promise at policy uptake, we offer you. If I may make another example, Mr. Perry, when we offer cover, we have a conversation, we have a discussion. We sometimes have an evaluation and say, okay, with your property or with your business, you have this risk exposures. Which ones would you like to take? Like for a vehicle, for example, we've got something called third-party cover, comprehensive cover, fire cover, something like that. Which ones would you like to take? So whatever you select, and if that peril against that policy happens to your property, definitely UGI should come to the fore and provide cover for such. So yes, if there was cover, yes, we would help our customers, or we are helping our customers to get back onto their feet.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Zwane. So it's unfortunate some businesses lost a lot of their investment, but if they had been covered and the particular peril had been covered in that insurance cover, then United General would have paid out to cover your loss, to try and bring you back to what you were at before that period. I'm getting here that Mr. Gamete, that insurance, it may be a choice. You one needs to seriously consider what insurance they are taking. You mentioned earlier on, Mr. Gamete, medical indemnity, and you say this is targeted mainly at medical professionals. Would you like to dive a bit more into that and what we offer at United General Insurance?
Oh, yes, with pleasure, Mr. Barry. I think these are the medical malpractice is basically covering medical doctors, like I've already said, for any mishap within the practices. This kind of cover can be taken by an individual doctor that is practicing within an establishment, or it could be taken up by the medical establishment and covers all the doctors within that medical practice. And what happens is Patrick Gamete, as a patient, goes in, is being attended by Dr. Perry, and Dr. Perry, forgets after that operation maybe to take off a syringe or that, and he tightens that wound. He refastens that wound, and off I go. And 3 days, 2 days, I discover that there is a bit of infection taken elsewhere, maybe for diagnosis, and they find that there was a syringe that was left inside my womb, and that is it. So that is what we call a mishap. And the doctor, definitely after that, I'll definitely be interested in taking the doctor to court to sue for damages. Obviously, that doesn't come cheap. It comes with a lot of monies. And I think nowadays people are very much aware of their rights and their standing. And if ever they go to court, obviously, it will be a huge sums of monies. And this is where then the insurance comes to play. You know, instead of the doctor, if this matter goes to court, we will provide, this cover does provide the legal counsel to represent the doctor within those whilst that claim is going through, so that he will be having a very good legal representative, a qualified legal representative who are very conversant with claims of this magnitude, like medical malpractice. And then let's say eventually the court finds that the doctor was on the wrong side, and he has to compensate the client 5 million or 10 million, depending on what cover the doctor had taken up. The policy then acts against, according to that. So if the court grants 5 million worth of damages, that means the insurance cover will then come in and pay the third party or the claimant an amount up to 5 million. It would be a pity if the client had taken, or the medical practitioner had only taken 2 million, and the costs are actually at 5 million. We will compensate up until what we call the limited liability area, which is the value of the cover that the client had taken. That's medical malpractice. There's quite a host of events that could lead to patients suing a doctor for malpractice. At times, it is a wrong diagnosis. At times, it is a wrong reading of medical results or wrong prescription of medication. It might be a case of a wrong identification of a certain body part that had to be amputated. If he gets amputated for the wrong reason, or maybe it was not the right foot, it was the left foot, and because of the wrong diagnosis, and anything could happen. We know of cases that we've seen in the local newspapers and externally where people have taken doctors or medical practices to court for malpractice. They can be quite huge, Mr. Perry.
Mr. Gamedze, someone is posing a question that are we not promoting negligence by the medical profession?
Thanks once again. I think just like we are just conscientizing people that there's this kind of cover, especially the medical practitioners. These things do happen. No doctor will ever perform an operation with the intention to be negligent. They'll never be a doctor. Doctors are highly qualified. They are certified. They are practicing through a certain requirement, and they love their profession. If you do something that is way beyond your medical requirement or your medically inclined parameters, you will obviously, your license will be taken away from you. You will be stopped from practicing. So no doctor would ever go that route, Mr. Perry.
Definitely. So it is not a case of protecting or encouraging doctors to be negligent, but protecting them so that they have continuity after making genuine mistakes and supporting them in their professions. Mr. Zwane, I want to move on to professional indemnity. What's the difference between medical malpractice and professional indemnity?
Thank you, Mr. Perry. It's well, they're all casualty or liability covers. It depends. What separates medical malpractice is that it's specific to people in the medical field. But professional indemnity goes to any other professional. For instance, if you an architect, for an example, you provide consulting engineer, for a simple one, consulting engineer. Your your duty is to consult and give a certain specific, say, design or way of doing things in construction. If you neglect to advise people to perhaps erect a certain pole to support a structure and all that, as a professional, you could be sued for failing to give advice. Perhaps I would want to clarify this on professional indemnity. It only covers you for advice you've given as a professional. As an example, if say a person called Whedon is an IT specialist, is there to do advice on IT issues. Whedon cannot then be sued for giving advice in slaughtering a cow because he's not a professional in that field. We specifically target the type of professional in which you are. So it could be professional advice, it could be any other. The difference is that medical malpractice is just specific to doctors, and exposure with doctors, it's quite huge, mostly because it impacts people's lives, and some errors can result in a permanent disability and all those things. So it's a specialized field, and the requirements are quite specialized with doctors. But PI is just indemnity for all other professionals who give advice and all those things.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Zwane. I think it has been interesting that of late we have seen quite a number of cases of medical malpractice, both in Swaziland as well as in South Africa. It also shows us that the population or people are in general are now realizing as well their rights and claiming compensation whenever it is due. When it comes to professional indemnity, Mr. Zwane, what are we offering our customers?
Thank you, Mr. Bere. Obviously, the person insured in this particular case will be the professional. So, as I said before, it's for liabilities which might arise whilst the person is performing that duties as a professional and in that profession. The cover is covers everything. It covers everything from the legal fees up to the compensation fees, of which, as insurance companies, we normally do not like to see ourselves in court for any reason, mind you. But we do cover legal fees and the penalties or the damages which the other party would allege to have suffered. So it's all encompassing. Perhaps if I may add, Mr. Bere, I think a few weeks back we discussed something called legal insurance. Legal insurance just gives you that representation in court for any issue you might want to find yourself in court. But professional indemnity, we cover your profession, we cover the damages and the legal costs from A to Z. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Zwane. I think our customers are getting to understand exactly the differences between the different types of insurance and when we are speaking about them, what they specifically cover, as opposed to general insurance, to other general areas of insurance. Mr. Gamedze, if I can come back to you. I also want to touch on the two other offerings, contractor bond and performance bond.
Thank you, Mr. Bere. I think the first one, which is the performance bond. A performance bond policy basically covers, it's normally taken by your contractors. When a contractor is given, wins a tender and he has to go on site to start working on that particular project. The project is time-based, so it will be a 3-month contract or 12 months contract or 2 years contract. So the bond will be for the duration of the contract. And if the contract has a value of, say, 20 million, he has to construct a weighbridge worth 20 million and has to deliver to the principal, who is the employer of the contractor, after a period of 90 days, so that be it. So he has now entered into a contract, and the principal, who is the employer, now wants this project delivered within the specified period. So if it happens that contractor A takes up starts working on the project and fails to deliver within the prescribes of the contract, then that means he has failed to perform according to the contract. So the contract value in this instance was 20 million. 3 months into, the contract was for a period of 12 months. 3 months into the contract, he starts defaulting. He's failing to submit certificate, which means he hasn't done enough works to warranty that he can submit a certificate. So, and 6 months into the contract, the project engineer or the project managers, they start querying to say, you are not even 10% into the project, but you've already been here half of the contract. You are not going to finish 12 months. Then there is a certain discussion that goes on between the contractor and the project manager. So if it happens that after 8 months, the contractor, the principal decides to terminate the contract because of non-performance, it means that now they are calling on the bond to come into activeness. So it means we are now going to compensate the principal to the value of the performance bond value. If the performance bond was for the full contract, which is normally about 10% of the full contract, so if it was 20 million, if it's 10%, that bond should have been for, say, 2 million. So it means now you have to compensate the principal to a tune of 2 million emalangeni on behalf of the contractor for non-performance. So that's what we call a performance bond, Mr. Barry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gamedze. And in most cases, organizations that are issuing tenders and so forth, even governments, when they issue tenders, they require this as a basic requirement. And so any business that intends to do that, to participate in some of these tenders, needs to know where to go. And the best place to go is to come and see you, Mr. Gamedze, at United General Insurance.
For sure, that's the way. That's the way. If they want peace, if they want comfort, whilst they're concentrating all their efforts on the project itself, UGI will be taking care of the risk on the side. So that's our purpose. That's why we're here. So any of the projects, we definitely want to be party so that we can give them comfort.
Thank you, Mr. Gamedze. I want to come back to you, Mr. Zwane. Before I do, I just want to holler out to Mazibuko. I'll be coming down to your question. I see your question. Please hang in there. Mr. Zwane, Mr. Gamedze earlier on talked about the multi-mark cover being a broad cover. Would you like to possibly go a bit into it with regards particularly to new organizations that are coming or that will be coming after this show? Because definitely there are some people who are listening who are running small businesses who will be interested in taking cover. Would you like to just go a bit more into it so that they probably are satisfied that this is the right organization to come and get the insurance?
Thank you, Mr. Bella. Okay. You should look at a multi-mark policy like a warehouse. The warehouse has many departments. It's up to myself to go to a certain section to purchase a certain item I need from that warehouse. So a multi-mark is that big. And in some instances, you even found mortar inside, but not always. So the multi-mark has all these covers a person might buy individually. But for instance, you open up a company. If you are, say, selling cement, for example, you need a fire cover. And if you're a business, you need what you call a business interruption cover. it's bound into that contract, right? If you have employees who might be dishonest and steal, you need fidelity guarantee cover. If you store for a certain period and transport, you need goods in transit. So the multi-mark provides, it's a warehouse whereby you get to pick and choose the types of covers that you want. Again, as I said before, we normally encourage for there to be some kind of valuation of the business or the property prior to taking up the business, because some things might be left outside, whilst usually insured people just think that I pay insurance, everything is covered. Hence, an evaluation will enable us to understand exactly what risk exposures you have. So that's the multi-mark bid, and if you take the multi-mark, usually that discounts because you're taking more than one section of all the covers we have under United General Insurance. But it's just that warehouse type of setup that you get to choose what you want, and everything is there. Just go to what suits you. Thanks.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Zwane. Definitely, I've got quite a lot of questions, but I also have viewers sending in questions, and some questions that we have already received ahead of the show. I think Mr. Mageba Mazibuko is listening in, and he sends his question. Does your fire policy cover political riots, or you have to take a separate cover for political riots? Go ahead, Mr. Zwane.
Thank you, Mr. Perrin. I think the question is it an embedded cover or a cover that you have to buy on the side? It's up to the customer on what suits the customer, because they might have many other insurance companies. Political riots, it's a general exception in insurance policies. It's basically all of them. So what we do is we say at an extra fee, for instance, we can write off, in a simple way, write off a certain section of that policy. We say this is covered and this is not covered. But if you want this to be covered, you have to pay a certain fee. So it is up to the customer which is most suitable to the business. But if it's, of course, if it's a one product or a one cover company, it would be on the policy. But if there are many other covers like your multi-marks, I think it would be best to have a blanket cover on the site to cover all of them, depending what is more affordable to the client. As Mr. Kametse can add on that, but that is how we sell it at UGI.
Mr. Kametse, would you like to add anything to that?
No, he's put it spot on. I concur with Mr. Zwane. It is a specialized cover, and as a specialized cover, it means we include it as an extension, which is basically canceling a certain or endorsing a certain section, which is basically political violence, which is an exclusion. If you pay the extra premium, we will then cancel off that exclusion, and it becomes part of the cover at an extra premium.
Great. So Mazibuko, please, if you have an interest in this, do give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to assign a resource to discuss with you specifically on the product, and then also discuss specifics for your business and make sure that you are covered going forward. We will be looking forward to your call. I've got other questions here from other viewers. Some of them we have covered, so you will forgive me. I've got quite a list. But one of them says, what are the joining requirements for PI and FG? Mr. Kametse.
For professional indemnity, we said this is a cover for professionals. So we need your qualifications, all your academic, certificates. Then we also need a comprehensive CV that will tell us what you've been exposed to, what you do, and that. If you're running an operation, we will then want a company profile for that establishment. If you are just a consulting engineer, as Mr. Bere, we will also want a profile of the works that you have already undertaken. And then we also want to know where you trading and who's maybe your usual clients and all that. So that comes in the form of a profile, obviously. So those will just be the key. Obviously, then we want proof of residence, and we also want your ID document. And those are your basic KYC requirements in terms of the Insurance Act.
But Mr. Gamedze, why do you want all that information? I am a doctor, I am an engineer, I am qualified, and I have 7 years experience. I want to be covered for 20,000 Malangeni. Why are you asking me for all that information?
Obviously, we're not talking about 20,000 cover. Even if it's 20,000 cover, you are transferring a risk to us. For us to accept that risk, you know, we must be comfortable to say, yes, let us take it. Because obviously, you know, when we do our rating, you'll be surprised at how we rate this. Because you might take the same cover as Mr. Zwane for 20,000. And Mr. Zwane pays, say we charge Mr. Zwane for a 20,000 cover, we charge him 578 eBalangeni. And you take up the same cover, same sum insured, we charge you 1,200 eBalangeni. You know, that's how it is. So the academic qualifications and all this, they are a requirement to enable us to do what we call underwriting process. We do underwriting qualification before we accept a risk.
Okay, so there is a process called underwriting process which evaluates case to case that then determines the risk exposure, potential risk exposure, and determines the amount of the amount you will pay to cover your policy. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. Moving on, I think this is a very interesting question that I'm going to read next. Is medical malpractice for hospitals and clinics only, or I can also get covered individually as a doctor?
Yes, sure. Like I said, yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Gamedze.
Yes, medical malpractice, I said, it can be taken at an individual level, at an individual medical practitioner, or it could be a medical establishment. We've got both sides that we provide cover for.
So one can be covered individually or can be covered under an organization, a hospital, yes, a clinic, whatever. Okay, yes. So maybe linked to that is the next question. I have covered my private clinic for malpractice, medical malpractice. What happens when a doctor has a claim for something that happened outside my clinic? Who is reliable, or who is liable rather?
Medical malpractice, if you understand what, there's one general cover, I'll make an example with workman's compensation. Workman's compensation is taken by an employer to cover his employees against any mishap or injuries at work. So the same thing with medical malpractice, we use the same approach. So you take up the medical malpractice, you know you've got 10 medical practitioners within your medical practice. And if that doctor was working under either your instruction or you had delegated him to perform that, then he comes back, he's being taken to task for malpractice. Obviously, you want to call upon the cover that you've taken to act. But obviously, if it's outside the scope of your work and your instruction, that cover will not be activated. I'm hoping I'm just trying to simplify that, Mr. Bell.
No, I think it's quite clear. You are saying that if this doctor was operating outside the confines of the clinic that is covered, then it is not covered. He is responsible for his own mishaps outside, correct?
Such doctors are advised to take their very own insurance covers so that PG medical practitioners, medical center when I take up the cover for my medical practice, all the doctors working within PG medical services will be covered. If they do their part-time works outside of PG medical services, that is for their own pocket. So each doctor then has to take his very own medical malpractice.
Interesting. And I think it's clear. The next question, I think this one definitely is coming from a small business owner. It reads, as a small business owner, I am renting an office. Can I insure it, or I can only insure the office equipment that I own? Mr. Zwane, maybe you want to take this one.
Yes, if you rent an office, you insure your contents and, of course, something called the landlord's fixtures and fittings. Why we're adding this is because if there's a burglary and you're using the landlord's cupboards to hide some of your equipment, should the burglars damage that cupboard to enter to get access to your things, the landlord should find you liable. So you're not the building, of course, but the fixtures and fittings, yes, they are covered. Just to put the client's mind at ease, we don't have to pay extra premiums to cover the fixtures and fittings that's just embedded on that. But yes, you pay for your stuff, not only for damage by fire, lightning, all that. But if, as Mr. Gamete said before, if you have your printers, you have your computers, you can have what you call electronic equipment cover to cover for such things as electrical equipment and power surge. So it's the fixtures and your contents only.
No, thank you, Mr. Zwane. So you can cover your contents and the fixtures are also covered by default, but you don't have to cover the owner's building. I'm trying to think here. What happens if I am renting a car? Somebody is car, I'm renting it for a period. Do I have a right to cover insurance for it? Mr. Zwane.
Okay. In insurance, there's something called custody and control. It's covered by you because it's in your custody and your control, but the circumstances differ all the time. Just as the Gamete said before, just like your goods in transit, they're not my goods, but I'm transporting them. Hence, I should take cover for them, right? It depends on the circumstances. But what we've noted with our car dealerships, the insurance is usually part of the ticket you've paid for, usually, but it doesn't have to take your own. However, may I make this particularly clear? Having an item over-insured does not mean you'll get over-indemnity. I'll come again. If I insure someone else's property, whilst in the same time that person had insured that property without me knowing, does not mean that if that property gets lost or catches fire, there'll be double payment. The principle of indemnity or contribution, if you might say so, says that we can never be paid more than the market value or the book value of that property. So it depends on the circumstance. If there is an insistence on the dealership that to provide insurance, yes, but usually they provide insurance on their own, Mr. Bell. It's quite uncommon, but it's possible.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zwane. An interesting one here, Mr. Zwane. I am a small business owner renting an office. Can I cover my deposit? Can I take insurance against my deposit?
No. There's no better answer than no. Unfortunately, I can't cover that unless there is something there's something accidental happens to your deposit. The deposit, it's funds which are kept by the landlord, right? unless something happens to those funds, and as long as it's a deposit, it's not your deposit, it's money that belongs to the landlord to cover a caution.
But Mr. Zwane, the landlord will refuse to give me back my deposit because probably there's a broken tape, probably the walls are dirty. But this was all happened in the course of my business. Why can't I be covered?
Okay, those are civil disputes, Mr. Perry, but it would be interesting though. It's like, Mr. Perry, with the medical field. If a client refuses to pay their bills, there's no insurance cover for that. You can't say, I'm coming to UGI to claim because I did a surgery on a certain client and the client is refusing to pay. There is no refusal to pay insurance, if I may say so. We don't, just as much as the landlord cannot cover the rent, like, Sakile, my tenant is called Ingwenya, does not want to pay rent, then the landlord cannot come to claim at any type of insurance. So those types of transactions or relationships, they are not usually insurable, but it would be interesting to insure the deposit. But at the moment, no.
No, interesting.
Yeah, I think Mr. Perry is just knowing because he's actually asking insurance to assist him to participate in an illegal transaction because you actually entered into a contract. Now you want us to assist you to breach that contract because you undertook to actually compensate the landlord in case that you damage his property. So yeah, we can't provide insurance cover for now.
Well, I just thought of that question. I thought it would be interesting. It was not a question from any of our viewers. I created that one, Mr. Gamete. But this one is genuinely from one of our viewers. Do you check prior to insuring medical facilities if they are up to standard in terms of health requirements?
Sorry?
Do you check prior to insuring medical facilities? I'm not so sure if they really mean the medical facilities itself. Are we talking about the buildings and so forth? If they are covered up to standard in terms of medical health requirements, it could be that they are talking about covering the medical facilities, or maybe they are referring to medical indemnity. You might want to consider both.
Yeah, I think maybe it's just covering the medical facility, which is the contents of the medical practice. Like I said, there's a process that we go through, which is called underwriting. So it is the underwriting process that involves that kind. We might decide, because if you're insuring medical items, just like any contents, you'll give us a list. If they are electronics, you will give us serial numbers, and that will then speak to, we'll be looking at when were they bought, 2 years ago, 10 years ago. Then that will then speak to us to say, hey, you might need to have a physical inspection of the facility so that you can ascertain the condition of this. But obviously, if it's a surgery and you're saying this medical facility is operating, obviously the medical council would be an interested party, because they should not be allowing these things to happen if they are not under proper conditions, because obviously the doctors will be exposed. So that will then say, maybe let us do a physical inspection because of the age of the items, because of the values of the items, because of the nature of the buildings where they are housed. That will trigger us to go and do inspections, but it's not guaranteed. We can never tell until we have this on a proposal, and then that will trigger our interest in taking physical. At times we'll say maybe just take a couple of pictures, 3D pictures on the items that you are insuring, and then we'll say, no, doesn't seem like the place is quite in a good fix, and let's go and check that. So we treat each case by case we treat each case on a case-to-case basis.
Thank you, Mr. Gamedza. I want to rush through this one. I want a brief answer from Mr. Sakile Zwane. In terms of small businesses, do they have to be registered to be insurable?
Sorry. Yes, we not particularly registered, Mr. Pere, but they need to be doing something legal in as far as the state is concerned. As long as it's they are transacting in legal transactions, that's the basis of it. Yes, they have to be professional businesses. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. I asked for a short question. For a short answer, we will leave it there for today. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. It's now a few minutes after 7. I want to take it back to Simpiwe. Simpiwe, do you have any other questions from our viewers before we hand over to you?
There are no more questions, Mr. Pere. I think time is definitely not on our side. It's been an interesting conversation.
Thank you very much, Simpiwe. I think we could have talked about the other flip side of getting insurance, which is paying claims. And we, as United General, we are in the business of paying claims. But unfortunately, because we have run out of time, we might have to have this gentleman back again to talk to us more about processing claims and whether United General Insurance really is paying claims. But I can give you my word, the business that United General Insurance is in is that of paying claims. And as long as you are paying your policy and your policy is up to date, you are guaranteed that any genuine claim will be paid. It has been a pleasure having you, gentlemen. Your last words, Mr. Zwane.
Well, it's a pleasure. I think this was very informative. It was good to be here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Zwane. Mr. Gamedza, you will want to unmute Mr. Gamedza.
Thank you, Mr. Pere and Simpiwe. Thank you for having us on here. And we're hoping that we did impart all about United General. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gamedza. It was a pleasure having you both, and we look forward to our next opportunity to be together. To our viewers, thank you very much for joining us. It was a pleasure here being the co-host. My name is Widenberry. Good night.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. It was an interesting conversation. It's lovely to know the amount of risk that we can avoid with insurance. Just before we close, I would love to say congratulations to E.T. Spencer, who was our last week winner from our competition. Do look out for this week's competition. Have a lovely weekend.